Learn to be alone, and you will never feel lost again. Solitude isn't the absence of people, it's the presence of yourself. It's the moment when you stop seeking approval and begin rebuilding who you are, even without applause, even when no one understands you, learning to feel whole within your own silence. Whoever fears being alone ends up clinging to what hurts, but whoever learns to be with themselves becomes free. They start choosing consciously, not out of lack or need. This video is about that very force, the quiet strength of someone who builds their own solitude. You'll understand step by step how to transform emptiness into presence and silence into power. And the first act is symbolic but powerful. Write in the comments below, "Today, I choose my own company." Do this especially if it feels strange, because true freedom begins when you learn to be at peace with your own presence without needing anyone else to feel complete. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Self-knowledge is the door that opens all others. You fear solitude, but solitude is not your enemy. It's the mirror that shows you everything you've tried to hide from yourself. What many call emptiness is actually a call, life's invitation for you to return inward. Self-knowledge is that door, the one you avoid opening because you know on the other side lies the confrontation with who you truly are. But only by crossing it do you discover the freedom of wholeness, even in silence. Being alone is not absence, it's completeness. And no one becomes whole without first looking at themselves honestly. Most people flee from themselves, like someone running from a dark room, filling their days with noise, surrounding themselves with others, staying busy just so they don't have to think. But living this way is like turning on 1,000 lights outside, while still remaining dim inside. You can have companionship, success, recognition, and yet still feel lost. Because without self-knowledge, you keep searching externally for what only silence can reveal. Imagine yourself as a house with many floors. Most live only on the ground floor, where there's noise, movement, and distraction. But self-knowledge is the staircase leading to the top floor, where there is stillness, perspective, and light. When you don't know who you are, any outside voice dictates your worth. You end up confusing companionship with belonging, attention with affection, distraction with happiness. James Clear said, "Habits shape identity." But it's self-knowledge that defines direction. Self-knowledge is the soul's compass. When you understand yourself, you stop walking in circles. You stop repeating old patterns, falling into the same emotional traps, and you start acting with awareness, not impulse, but choice. The Stoics saw this as the first duty of every human, to know oneself, to avoid becoming a slave to one's own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man who knows himself is no longer a prisoner of the world." That is the essence of conscious solitude. You become self-sufficient because you finally understand yourself. Self-knowledge is cleaning the mirror of the soul until you can look at yourself without fear. It's realizing that solitude isn't silence, it's space. It's fertile ground where clarity, strength, and peace grow. It's the moment you realize you don't need witnesses to feel whole. Whoever learns to be with themselves no longer begs for love, pleads for attention, or fears emptiness, because they understand that emptiness isn't absence. It's the sacred interval where you rebuild yourself. So today, stop running. Close the doors of the world and open the windows of your inner world. Ask yourself, who am I when the noise stops? The answer doesn't come from outside. It comes from the silence you've always avoided. Comment here, "Today, I choose to be my own company." Because true freedom begins when you stop fearing solitude and learn to inhabit the peace that lives within it. Lesson 2. Change the old stories about who you are. Many live like actors trapped in the same role. Nietzsche said, "To become who you are, you must break the script the world wrote for you." And that is exactly what conscious awakening demands, the courage to take the lead role in your own life. How many times have you repeated phrases like, "I always ruin everything," "I've gotten used to this," "I'm just this way," "There's nothing I can do"? These words seem small, but they're like spells, and every day you cast them upon yourself. Every story you repeat about who you are becomes another brick in the prison of your own mind, and before you notice it, you're living as the character you created, not the person you could become. In solitude, those voices become louder. It's in silence that you hear how much you carry stories that no longer belong to you. And that is the power of solitude. It doesn't lie. It forces you to listen to yourself. The Stoics taught that consciousness rebuilds destiny, because when you change how you see yourself, you change how you act, and when you change your actions, you transform everything around you. Those old narratives were formed when you were just trying to survive. They protected you then, but now they limit you. What you carry today isn't weakness. It's just an outdated story that hasn't been updated. Imagine your mind as a book. For years, you've read the same chapter over and over, memorized every line, clung to the same characters. But the book of your life still has blank pages, and only you can write the next ones. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Understand this, and you will find strength." That strength arises when you realize you no longer need to repeat the pain of the past to prove you survived. Self-knowledge opens the door. But rewriting your story is what truly liberates you. Because what good is it to look inside if you still insist on seeing the old portrait? Solitude serves this purpose, to remind you that you can rewrite your narrative. You are not your mistake. You are the awareness that learned from it. You are not your trauma. You are the strength that grew after it. You are not your past. You are the present that chose to continue. So today, stop repeating the phrases that diminish you. Rewrite the story. Change "I am this way" to "I am becoming better." Change "I always mess up" to "Now I learn faster." Comment, "Today I choose to rewrite my story," because the mind that knows itself and has the courage to retell itself is the mind that finally breaks free. Lesson 3. Release the need to prove your worth. From a young age, you learned that love and approval came at a price. Good grades, good behavior, praise, medals, all felt like a silent contract. If I do the right thing, I will be loved. And without realizing it, you began to seek love through performance, mistaking acceptance for sufficiency. But time passed, and that logic still chases you. Now, instead of gold stars, you chase titles, likes, and validation. You work too hard, give too much, demand too much of yourself, and at the end of the day, you still feel you didn't do enough. Because when the engine of your life is the fear of not being enough, no achievement ever fills you. You wake up already carrying the invisible weight of having to justify yourself, as if you had to prove every day that you deserve to be here. And the crueler truth? The more you try to prove your worth, the further you drift from what makes you unique. You start living to perform, not to feel. But one day, this exhaustion catches up. Your body tires. Your mind tires. Your soul tires. You realize you're worn out, not because you did too much, but because you spent too long trying to be what the world expected. Solitude breaks that cycle, because when the outside noise fades, you finally hear yourself. In silence, there's no audience, no applause, no comparisons, no expectations, only you and the raw truth that you were always enough. Rudyard Kipling wrote, "If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it." But he also knew, when we stop resisting ourselves, we become whole. And in that wholeness, you discover a reservoir of strength, creativity, and resilience you never knew you had. That is what happens when you stop chasing validation and start moving toward meaning. Effort stops being escape It becomes presence. You stop living to prove your value and start expressing your power. True ambition doesn't rise from fear. It rises from clarity. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It builds. Whoever knows their own worth doesn't need to show it. They simply become it. And that is the power of solitude. It returns your axis, your center, your calm. In solitude, you learn to act from essence, not from applause, to live with integrity, even when no one sees, to trust the process, even when recognition is delayed. Because what is real remains, even when the world is silent. So today, release the need to prove. Release the fear of not being enough. You are not a resume. You are a consciousness in motion. You are not a sum of achievements. You are a soul in evolution. And the more you accept yourself, the less you need to explain yourself. Epictetus wrote, "When a man is well-founded in life, he does not need to seek approval outside himself." That is it. Build that foundation within. Because when your worth comes from inside, applause loses its power. Others' gaze weakens. Your own gaze becomes enough. So if this lesson resonated with you, write in the comments, "Today, I choose to act without needing to prove anything." Because whoever releases the need to demonstrate discovers the power of living in peace with who they are, and understands true value isn't shouted, it's lived. Lesson 4. Wake up in silence. The way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Before you open your eyes to the world, open them to yourself. Don't reach for your phone. Don't rush into the noise. Don't dive into social media or urgency. Instead, sink into yourself. Breathe deeply, and realize that while the world still sleeps, you can already begin to awaken with greater awareness. Those first minutes aren't just time. They are sacred territory. Here, you decide whether you'll spend the day reacting or leading. And that's why the strong train in silence, because they know the morning is the first battlefield of the mind. Marcus Aurelius did this daily. Before commanding armies, he commanded his thoughts. He would write for himself, reminding that the world would be unjust, chaotic, and challenging, but that he could still choose his attitude, his calm, his strength. That was his invisible training, the very practice that can transform you. Waking up in silence is not a mystical ritual. It's an act of power. It's saying to the world, "Today, I define my rhythm, not you." It's starting the day with clarity, not confusion. It's aligning your mind before chaos pulls you into autopilot. Because what you do in the first hour echoes quietly throughout the rest of the day. Silence in the morning is the mirror of chosen solitude. It's where you learn to listen to yourself, understand yourself, support yourself. When you begin the day with yourself, you discover you don't need anyone else to feel complete. This is how inner solitude is built, through the daily decision to be your own companion before the world invades. The Stoics taught us, whoever masters the mornings masters the course of their life. So tomorrow, before anything else, wake up in silence, not to escape life, but to begin the day in control of it. Breathe, feel your heart beating, let your mind clear, allow your body to awaken. And remember, whoever learns to wake up in peace stays strong in every storm. The world awakens in noise, but those who choose silence build a different kind of strength, because whoever learns to listen to their interior never gets lost among outside voices. For the next 3 days, make this pact with yourself. When you rise, declare aloud, "Today, I choose to begin the day with me." Because when you speak with honesty, your body listens, your mind responds, and your soul wakes up. Silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of awareness. And every time you choose silence, you are building an inner strength the world cannot give you. Lesson 5. Master your reactions. You cannot control what the world does, but you can decide who you will be in response. And that is precisely where your true power lives. Most people waste energy trying to change others' behavior, forgetting that the only territory they can truly transform is their own interior. You don't command the wind, but you can adjust your sails. How many times has someone provoked you, and you reacted without thinking? Afterward, guilt arrives, the weight of having betrayed yourself. But the truth is simple. No one steals your peace. You hand it over. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to us that disturbs us. It's our judgment about what happens." The event is neutral. It's your mind that assigns the impact. Mastering your reactions is like training an invisible muscle. At first, impulse seems stronger than awareness. Anger arrives fast. Pride shouts. Your tongue wants to respond before your mind thinks. But over time, you learn to pause. And that pause, short and silent, is the exact point where the ordinary person loses control and the wise gain freedom. In solitude, this training deepens, because in silence, no one provokes you, no one cheers you, no one validates you. There is only you and the mirror of your own mind. Here, you realize that most of your reactions aren't responses to the present. They're echoes of ancient pains that were never healed. And that's why solitude heals. It forces you to face what belongs to you before you project it onto the world. Mastering your reactions isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about transforming emotion into awareness. It's taking the fire of anger and turning it into focus. It's converting the weight of sadness into wisdom. It's understanding that true freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's not being a slave to any impulse. When you stand firm in the midst of chaos, you become the center, while the world spins around you. And that is the essence of Stoicism, to be a rock amid the storm. The world may shout, but you respond with clarity. The world may provoke, but you act with intention. The world may change, but within you, something remains. Mastering your reactions is what separates the strong from the impulsive, the wise from the reactive, the free from the imprisoned. Reacting is instinct. Choosing calm is power. And the more you practice it, the more you realize peace is also a form of strength. The world may admire the one who yells, but true respect belongs to the one who keeps their calm. So for the next 3 days, practice this mastery. When something irritates you, don't fight the wind. Be the rock the wind cannot move. Stop, breathe. Do not respond in the heat of anger. Respond in the warmth of awareness. Because every time you choose calm, you are claiming ownership of your life. Lesson 6. Physical effort. The discipline of the soul. Strength does not arise from comfort. It arises from overcoming. And that's why the body is the first temple of the mind. Whoever disciplines their body trains their soul, because the body is where the spirit learns to resist. Marcus Aurelius trained. Roman soldiers trained. They understood. Physical effort wasn't about appearance, it was about character. Whoever endures the fatigue of the body learns to endure the weight of life. Waking early, moving, feeling your heart race, sweat pouring down. This is more than exercise. It's a reminder to your body, I am in charge. Your mind learns with every step, every pain overcome, every repetition made when your willpower is gone. Laziness is the first enemy of inner strength. It whispers, today it's not necessary. But each time you rise, even tired, you teach your brain it can rely on you. And that is the beginning of all strength, trusting yourself. Physical effort is the training the world never sees, but which changes everything the world will see. It's in the quiet of training that you learn to handle discomfort, master your body, and affirm your mind. Every drop of sweat is proof of presence. It's not the body that wins, it's the spirit that awakens. This is how solitude works in practice. When the body moves, the mind calms. While the world runs after stimuli, you learn to find meaning in repetition, focus in sweat, peace in movement. You are not fleeing the world. You are returning to yourself. Physical effort is the reminder that there is a silent, indestructible force, growing stronger every time you overcome yourself. You don't need a perfect gym or constant motivation. You only need a reason, and your reason is you. Because when you move, even without desire, you are practicing the noblest virtue, discipline. Discomfort is not punishment, it's forging. Effort is not burden, it's refinement. Through effort, you build confidence, clarity, and strength. The very things that sustain you in difficult times. A strong body protects a peaceful mind, and a peaceful mind sustains a soul that won't bend. This is how you win. One workout at a time, one movement at a time, one firm decision per day. For the next few days, challenge yourself to move, even for a few minutes. Not to change how you look, but to remember who you are. Lesson 7. Write turns silence into inner voice. Writing is the space where silence turns into words, and confusion transforms into meaning. When you write, you don't speak to the world. You speak to the most honest part of yourself. It's here, on paper, that your mind finally breathes. Think of it. Writing is the only place where you can be completely truthful. You don't need to fake strength, hide pain, or disguise doubt. Everything is allowed, because nothing is judged. And that's why writing is healing, because you release what you no longer wish to carry. Writing is a practice of chosen solitude. It invites you to withdraw from the world's noise and enter the quiet of your own awareness. While others speak to be heard, you write to understand. While the world drags you outward, the page calls you back inward. And in that silent return you realize the greatest company you've ever needed has always been waiting within you. This isn't about literature, it's about presence. Writing gives form to the invisible. It allows the soul to speak in the language of reason. And the more you write, the more you learn to listen to yourself and trust your own voice. Make this your sanctuary. Choose a moment each day, light a soft lamp, sit down and write. It can be a single sentence, a memory, a hard truth, a simple gratitude. Each word written is a brick in the construction of your inner balance. Writing is the mirror of solitude, the place where you meet yourself without needing anyone else. Over time, you'll notice you're no longer just writing about what you live, you're writing about who you are becoming. And that is the greatest gift a human can give themselves, to understand themselves before expecting to be understood. So each night, choose to gather yourself and write, not to solve the world, but to listen to what your inner world is trying to say. Because whoever writes frees themselves. Whoever frees themselves finds themselves. And whoever finds themselves discovers they no longer need to flee from their own silence. Lesson 8. Be grateful every night. Most people don't sleep. They simply shut down. They go to bed exhausted, their minds still racing over what went wrong, conversations left unresolved, and burdens that can't be changed. But it's precisely at night, when the world goes quiet, that you most need to choose what you carry into sleep. Gratitude is that filter, the final training of the day, the soul's quiet exercise. It's not about denying pain, it's about refusing to let pain define your rest. Because what you bring to bed is what nourishes your morning. Think of resentment as sleeping on rocks. Regret is like resting on a wet mattress. But gratitude is the pillow of a peaceful mind. Gather the loose pieces of the day and mend what weariness tried to tear apart. Being grateful isn't forced positivity, it's maturity. It's looking at the day and saying, "It was hard, but I learned. It hurt, but I endured. It didn't go as planned, but I'm still standing." Gratitude transforms what wounded you into wisdom. It's the silent cure, available only when you choose to let go. Solitude is born in that instant, when you look inward and realize, I don't need anyone to console me. I only need to be at peace with what is. Gratitude is reconciliation with what was, with who you were, with what is yet to come. Before you sleep tonight, close your eyes and take an inventory of your soul. Review the day, not to judge, but to understand. See where you surpassed yourself, where you stumbled, where fate revealed patience disguised as delay. Then, thank yourself for trying, for enduring, for still being here. That is the rest of the strong, the one who understands they don't need the world to change in order to feel light. They only need to change what they carry within. For the next few days, practice this. Don't bring resentments to your pillow. Bring awareness. Don't fall asleep reliving what you lost. Fall asleep valuing what remains. Because every night you end with gratitude is a battle won against chaos, and every morning that follows is a fresh chance to begin again with lightness and purpose. Lesson 9. Shift your perspective. Everything changes when you change the way you look. The same problem that drags you down can teach you. The same pain that breaks you can rebuild you. The same silence that frightens you can set you free. Life doesn't speak in words, it speaks in perspectives. And whoever learns to see differently starts to live differently. As long as you see yourself as a victim, the world will appear cruel. But when you shift your view, the same reality reveals opportunity, growth, and grace. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality, and that is the root of suffering, not the event, but the story you tell about it." In solitude, you confront that story. You see the difference between fact and fiction, between what happened and what you believe it means. You stop letting your emotions hijack your life. You stop giving your power away to interpretations that no longer serve you. You reclaim your ability to respond, not react. And that's when transformation occurs, not because you waited for the world to improve, but because you decided to improve your relationship with the world. So ask yourself, am I interpreting this situation with fear, or with courage, with scarcity, or with abundance, with resistance, or with acceptance? Because the moment you change your perspective, you change your experience. And when you change your experience, you change your life. Lesson 10. Protect your energy like a warrior. Your energy is finite and precious, yet you give it away every day, to meaningless conversations, to toxic relationships, to endless distractions. The warrior doesn't carelessly throw their sword. They guard it, sharpen it, use it wisely. You must do the same with your energy. Guard it fiercely. Ask yourself, does this interaction feed me or drain me? Does this person strengthen me or weaken me? Does this habit build me or erode me? Solitude is your fortress. It's where you retreat to restore, to reflect, to renew. It's not isolation, it's strategic withdrawal. Just as an army regroups after battle, you must regroup after the battles of daily life. Use solitude to recharge. Use it to cut ties with what no longer serves you. Use it to reconnect with your values, your goals, your deeper self. Because when you protect your energy, you preserve your capacity to create, to love, to grow. And that protection is not selfish, it's essential. No one can serve from an empty cup. So write in the comments, I guard my energy with honor. Because true strength begins with knowing what and who deserves access to your soul. Lesson 11. Live by your own rules. The world has rules, but they weren't written for you. They were written for the average, the predictable, the obedient. But you are not meant to fit. You are meant to stand apart, to walk your own path. Living by others' rules kills your authenticity. It tells you, sit down, be quiet, fit in, perform. But the cost is high. It's your voice, your passion, your uniqueness. In solitude, you rediscover what you truly value. You reconnect with your internal compass, not the one society gave you. You ask, what do I believe? What do I love? What makes my heart beat faster? And you begin to live by those answers, not by expectation. The Stoics called this autonomy. the state of being governed by your own reason, not by external pressure. You don't need permission to exist. You don't need validation to live your truth. All you need is the courage to say, "This is who I am, and I will live accordingly." So write in the comments, "I live by my own rules," because the only life worth living is the one you design yourself. Lesson 12. Build something only you can see. Great things begin in darkness, where no one sees. The artist paints in silence. The writer crafts sentences in solitude. The athlete trains while the world sleeps. Their work is invisible, but real. And that's the power of solitude, to build what only you can witness until it's ready to be seen. You don't need an audience to begin. You don't need applause to persist. You only need conviction and the willingness to labor in silence. The world will laugh at your dreams. They will say, "It's impossible. It's unrealistic. You're wasting your time." But solitude teaches you to ignore them. It gives you the space to grow without explanation, to evolve without commentary. You plant seeds in soil that others can't see, water them in secret, and wait. Because the most powerful transformations happen unseen. They don't announce themselves. They arrive fully formed. So write in the comments, "I am building in silence," because whoever builds in private doesn't need to prove anything in public. They already know what they've earned, through quiet dedication, relentless effort, and unwavering faith. Final reflection. Solitude is not loneliness. It's power. Loneliness says, "I am incomplete without others." Solitude says, "I am complete within myself." One is lack, the other is fulfillment. And the journey from loneliness to solitude is the journey from dependence to sovereignty. You stop seeking and start being. You stop performing and start becoming. You stop reacting and start creating. Solitude is not about rejecting the world. It's about reclaiming yourself from it. It's the space where you are not influenced, not pressured, not distorted, where you can hear your own voice, clear, strong, and true. And when you learn to live there, you no longer fear silence. You welcome it, because in that stillness, you meet the only person whose opinion matters, you. So today, commit to this. I choose to be with myself, because the moment you stop avoiding your own company is the moment you begin to heal. And the moment you begin to heal is the moment you start to change the world.